Welcome to RSA Conference 2024. We're here recording live from Broadcast Alley in Moscone West. This interview is sponsored by SquareX. I'm your host, Adrian Sanabria, and joining me is Vivek Ramachandran, founder and CEO of SquareX. Hello, Vivek. How are you?
Thank you so much for inviting me on the show, Adrian.
Yeah.
Super excited. We are doing a booth, meeting a lot of very interesting people. So yeah, I'm feeling awesome.
Yeah. Me too. It's always fun to so much energy, come in and see everything that everybody's doing, especially when they're new things.
Yeah.
Which what you're doing is fairly new to me, so I'm excited to talk about this. So, the tagline we have here is SquareX is disrupting the browser security market. So I think we should start there and define what you mean when you say browser security market, because there could be some confusion.
Absolutely. So I think, browser security, as probably the universe, if you kind of look at it, there are multiple components to it. So one is your enterprise browsers, and this is something Gartner ended up coining.
Yep.
And really, these are dedicated browsers that you can deploy on your employee laptops and consultant laptops. And primarily, these are geared towards managing access control.
Yeah.
So that now only through these browsers, you can access your internal websites, your SaaS websites, and all of that.
Yeah.
Now, the other part, of course, is the wild, wild west, right? All of the web attacks that target employees when they're online. So, attacks like spear phishing, malicious document download, session hijacking, malicious extensions and whatnot. And that is also part of browser security, and that is really what SquareX is actually working on and trying to disrupt.
It's amazing. You mentioned malicious extensions. There's almost nothing on the market that looks at malicious Chrome extensions at all.
Absolutely, and this is getting compounded because of the fact that everybody's writing their own little AI copilot,
right?
And now Grammarly and so many little extensions are coming, which are actually offering you free services, all powered by ChatGPT.
Right.
The unfortunate part is that many of these extensions are malicious, as you rightly said, and are trying to steal credentials and whatnot, from the user's browser.
Yeah. So protecting against threats that are focused on the browser.
Right.
So let's back up a little bit. Tell me a little bit about your background in cybersecurity before founding SquareX.
So I've been in cybersecurity for the past 20 years, 10 years as an entrepreneur. Started off, working for companies like Cisco Systems, implementing layer 2 security. Quickly figured that I enjoyed more breaking security than making it. Got my lucky break working for a wireless security company called Airtight Networks,
right,
where I discovered a lot of first-in-the-world attacks like Cafe Latte and all of that. Spoke at DEF CON and Black Hat multiple times. Then 2010, 2011, a decade back, was when I started my very first company, created a wireless monitoring product, which I ended up selling. Then I created Pen Tester Academy, which had students from 150 countries.
Yeah.
Yep. And I exited Pen Tester Academy in 2021, and finally decided to once again, go back into the game. And that's when I started SquareX in 2023.
So you've been working your way up the OSI model. So at level 8 next, you're gonna build a management solution.
Pretty much.
So yeah, web-borne threats are not a new thing, right?
Absolutely.
So the way you're doing it is somewhat new, but the fact that these threats are out there are products designed to stop some of these threats. Particularly in the SASE market.
Right.
So how do you differentiate from those? What are the issues with those that you can solve by being right there in the browser?
Absolutely, great question. So if you look at SASE, SSE, secure web gateways, this technology came in almost like 10 to 12 years back. Those were cloud
and particularly
proxies.
it's SWG is the component we're talking about, right? SWG,
exactly.
Secure Web Gateway.
Exactly. And SSL intercepting proxies have been there for a while. But if you think about it, what they're trying to do is look at network traffic, HTML, CSS, and JavaScript,
right,
and infer application layer attacks which are happening in your browser. So unfortunately, SWGs do not have application context.
Right.
They have no clue about user interactivity. They have no notion of the traffic they are seeing and being able to correlate that with browser tabs and windows and how the user is interacting. I'll give you a very simple example. Let's say the SWG sees a file download happen. It absolutely doesn't know if this was because a user clicked on a link or whether one of the inactive tabs is actually dropping a file as a drive-by download, right? Clipboard data, site ends up reading your clipboard, that goes in. SWG doesn't know if this is a form submission, is this a session data, is this actually your clipboard getting read? So without application context, unfortunately, there isn't much you can do. Now, the tricky part is, imagine if you had to share all of that live DOM changes, application context, and sync it with the cloud for every single browser tab that you have,
Right.
which is an impossible task to do. So that is really where what we decided to do is, hey, where is it that you have the most amount of rich data when it comes to detecting client-side attacks which are happening against your users? That's actually in the browser. So by having a security product run in the browser, we can pick up all of those DOM changes, browser events, user interactivity, and actually correlate and run machine learning models right there to detect attacks. And that is really what we are doing.
Yeah, and it's a good point because there's so much functionality that's moved client side. You know, I've seen SPAs and like you can even run the Linux operating system within a browser tab.
Yes.
You know, so there's so much going on that you wouldn't see if you're only looking at the network.
100%. And you know, the best technology example I can give you is WebAssembly.
Yeah.
So WebAssembly is absolutely revolutionizing what you can do in the browser, because you can take a lot of your older native libraries and pretty much compile it
Port
and run
them
it in
over.
the browser. Exactly. So a lot of startups which are probably doing image processing, video processing, are starting to offload much of this in the browser itself. So the browser is starting to become a much more capable, larger platform where you can already build applications.
Right.
So what we are piggybacking in that tailwind is really the ability to build a full-blown security product running entirely in the browser.
Wow. Yeah. So maybe let's discuss some specifics, like what kinds of attacks, are those kind of SWGs missing, failing, where you could actually detect some of those attacks. Examples always help to understand.
Absolutely.
Right? Yeah.
So the simplest attack I can tell you is, let's say, UI redressing attacks like clickjacking. So a clickjacking attack entirely happens on the UI side by overlaying different frames. Now a SWG is only looking at HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. So the SWG doesn't understand how all of that is taken by the browsing rendering engine and how all of that is being laid out. So without that context, any form of UI redressing attack is something a SWG will entirely miss.
Yeah.
Now, here's the more interesting part. SWGs today basically, pride themselves of detecting malware in the cloud itself, so that, hey, it doesn't even drop on your endpoint. But what attackers have started to do is, last mile reassembly attacks.
Yeah.
And a very simple example is taking the same malware file, breaking it up, and making it part of HTML, CSS. So SWGs don't even see that there is actually a file download.
Right.
And on the client side, using JavaScript to reassemble all of that and drop down. And you could rinse and repeat this for even malicious websites and whatnot.
Yeah.
And lastly, what is compounding this is technologies like WebAssembly, where you can package entire payloads into WASM modules, which is really pretty much compiled code, which SWGs can't analyze, because this isn't plain JavaScript that you can just take and put into an attack graph.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. So for the buyer for this product, is this what does the output from the user's browsers look like? Like, what is the if I'm going to buy and integrate this into my, enterprise of 50,000 users or something like that, what is that experience like?
Yeah, so great question. So once you deploy our browser extension, which is compatible pretty much with every browser out there, what we do is, as the user is, surfing the internet, looking at different things, we look at the different browser events and we start to monitor all of that. So now let's say, I'll give you a simple example. Maybe your sales team is getting attacked on LinkedIn, where a bad actor is actually sending a direct message to people, attaching a malicious file saying, I want to buy something from your organization, and here is details of the purchase order.
Yeah.
So now what's going to happen is, your sales team probably downloads it. Sometimes there may be an intermediate link they have to click through. When that download happens, God hope your endpoint security solution picks it up.
Right, yeah.
But if it does, all you can see at that point is a malicious file was downloaded via Chrome. Now, for most enterprise IT teams, this is a mess, because now you call up the sales guy and he says, hey, what did you do?
Yeah.
And he either doesn't remember or won't admit. So this is a case where what we can do is entire attack path attribution. So within SquareX, you can immediately see that on LinkedIn, a certain bad actor ended up sending a message, which led to a malicious file download. And because we integrate with a lot of solutions, this allows you to enrich that data and be able to correlate attack graphs within the browser.
Right.
Finally, what happens on the endpoint.
Yeah.
So by giving full visibility, we allow organizations to detect and block attacks.
Yeah.
Now, here's the best part. Typically, malicious attackers, would have created one profile and started to attack multiple people. So we automatically pick up these IOCs, let's say the
Right.
malicious document hash, the intermediate websites.
Yeah, because as an analyst, immediately I want to check the email system. I want to see if other people
Exactly.
got it. I want to see if endpoint, my EDR, Next-Gen AV picked it up.
Exactly. So we cross-correlate, and we can immediately tell you that 5 sales folks in different parts of the world in your organization were simultaneously attacked.
Wow, very nice. And this works with all the major browsers, I presume?
Yes. So, Chrome, Edge, Firefox, Brave, Safari, so it integrates with pretty much everybody.
All right. And future plans for this? It sounds like you already have a lot of integrations there, and being in the browser, I like the fact that you can block as well. Being in that position, whereas a lot of security solutions over the years, I think analysts weren't comfortable with automated remediation, automated blocking. But after years of ransomware, that's one of the main things I'm hearing at this conference is people are finally ready. A little bit of disruption, even if it's a CEO, is worth way more than having to go through a ransomware's worth of disruption.
Absolutely, and you bring up a very good point, right? If today you asked a CISO, tell me who are your most vulnerable users, tell me who are your most targeted users.
Execs.
When it comes to when they're online, at that point in time, they know it's execs, but sometimes, it's rank and file, could actually be the person on the HR team sifting through resumes.
Right.
And she pretty much has to open documents from unknown people.
Yeah.
So
that's
I
the
think
job. Yeah.
Exactly. And
clicking links is the job.
so attack attribution and trying to give you an early warning system when people are getting attacked is really what we're trying to solve with browser visibility.
Yeah. It's very interesting stuff. How can people get started? Do you have like a freemium tier? How are you? What's the go to market with the product?
So we've kind of gone ahead and launched it in a very big way at RSA. We have a booth 336 at this time.
Okay.
And if you're still around at RSA, come visit us. But you can go absolute obligation
336. That's in the middle, right?
It's 336. Yeah, Moscow and South.
Yeah, close to the F1 car.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think the Sentinel-1 booth where they have that marked.
Yeah.
I guess. Yeah. So they could
That's a
come
good
down.
landmark to.
Yeah. I think I've seen a lot of people trying to kind of drive that simulator.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we are down there. Or alternately, you can go to the website. You can sign up for an obligation-free pilot.
Okay. Nice.
The best way that we've seen, which works for our existing pilot and our customers, is we just say, just deploy this for 1 week, and automatically you will end up uncovering a bunch of attacks which are kind of happening.
Yeah. Excellent. Well, thank you, Vivek, so much for joining me on Security Weekly today. I think you joined me for the last one of the day, too.
So you know what? Great. Thank you so much, and it was a great conversation.
If you want to learn more about SquareX, you can visit securityweekly.com/SquareX RSAC. And when we kick off tomorrow, you can go to securityweekly.com/RSAC for all our content. And I think, if I'm not wrong, that's all for today, right? Yep. It's all for today. We'll see you first thing tomorrow.